Ever since I saw his reel where he's like, I track every single person I talk to, and then at the end of the year, I send them their stats list. Like, you were number one person I talked to. I was like, okay, I'm getting inspired here. Maybe I should do that as well. After I launched the course on the day of the deadline, I made 6,000 in like one day.
I have a checklist that I follow every single day. So I just go
Oh my
through it.
God.
And it's
That's so
400 things. And it's optimized in an order where it's like continuous energy.
I feel like you're tracking to optimize, and then I'm tracking for enjoyment, like as a hobby.
What made you go vegan?
Vegetables are healthy. I don't know if it's the vegan energy from the vegetables or if it's like the ADHD energy, but I'm like, I could run like 10 miles every day.
Every time I open up Instagram, my phone will go black and white.
I had an automation where every time I open a social media app, it would be like, okay, what are you doing here? And I'm like, okay, I need 2 minutes like to post and stuff. But after the 2 minutes, it's like, what are you still doing here? Like it just automatically takes a picture of me, like my face as I'm doom scrolling, and then it texts it to myself or a person of my choice.
Hey Jennifer,
Hey, can you
how
hear
are
me?
you?
I'm great.
Yeah. Whereabouts are you based?
I'm in Vancouver, Canada.
Whereabouts in Canada?
Vancouver,
Yeah.
BC,
Is that which side of Canada is that?
the West Coast.
West Coast. Nice. So it's getting warm. How's the weather?
Oh, it's rainy right now, but it's getting warmer into like the hike season. That's pretty
Nice.
nice. Yeah,
Huh?
are you based in Sydney?
Hmm.
Nice. I'm gonna move there later this year,
Oh,
hopefully.
really? Well, yeah. Like for school? What's going to happen?
Oh, my boyfriend is there, so we're just gonna move in together.
How'd
Yeah, I
you?
was there earlier this year as well. It was through work online. We
Okay.
used to work in the same place, and then he left, and then I left, and then we got together.
Is he a content creator as well?
Oh no, he's an engineer. I used to work for a startup.
And did he move to Canada for that startup and then he moved back home after he left, or was it?
No, it was just always remote work, so we just only saw each other online, and then I went to Sydney for some work stuff and also for the marathon, and then we met up, and then it just went from there.
Are you still running nowadays as well?
Yeah, I just came back from a run. I'm doing the Sydney Marathon again this year, so I'll be moving and then running right away.
Whoa, was it hard to get tickets? I remember I applied for the ballot and I didn't get accepted.
Yeah, it wasn't too hard. I think they prioritize people who are coming from other countries because then it's like more money for tourism.
Makes sense.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much
do
for.
you run too?
I was training for a marathon because a friend was like, "Hey, I'm doing this marathon. Do you want to do it with me?" So I was like, I was training for that, and then I think she pulled out, and then I guess I stopped training, but I still do it once a week. I do like a run club once a week to just socialize, meet people. So it's like 10K once a week.
Oh, that's pretty good.
What's your weekly kilometers? How many? What's your weekly volume?
Well, I just started this new training plan, so probably like 40 to 50K,
Whoa, how many days of running is that?
like six,
Oh,
around six.
So you're averaging like 5 to 8 kilometers a day.
Yeah, but I just started this new plan. When it progresses, I'm gonna have to do like 30Ks. So I'm not looking forward to that.
Oh, what? When's the next marathon?
you have.
End of August.
End of
It's the
August.
Sydney one, end of August. So it's okay because it's the summer months for me. So I'll be training outside in the sun. It's not as bad as my last marathon, which I didn't really train at all. And then I suffered.
Yeah, it must have been. Was that your first marathon?
No, it was like my fourth, I think. Yeah.
Wow, so you've been running for a long time.
Yeah, it's just because I surround myself with people who are like more intense than me. Like they're running 160K. There's somebody who tried to run a marathon every day. Their paces are like super fast. So I'm like, okay, I need to step it up.
Who are these people and where do you meet these like people who run marathons every day?
I don't even know. I think just in the startup world, people are like so driven, and then they're like the discipline physically leads to discipline mentally for your own business. So there's a correlation.
Are you still working in a startup or what's your main gig at the moment, Jennifer?
No, I mainly just do my own content stuff because I travel a lot. So it's also kind of like, okay, so the whole story actually is I used to work as a growth marketer for this company that was like an education company. We sold online courses, and there was a data analysis course that was really good. I took that course, and then it's what made me go viral eventually on both my personal brand account and the company account because I was managing their social media too. And I literally copy pasted everything I did there for my personal brand, but then there was an issue with Facebook ads, and that was like our only source of income. So then everybody pretty much got laid off, including me. And then I was in the middle of traveling then because it's remote work. So then I was like, okay, I don't want to like search for a job because like what kind of job is gonna let me travel and like, so I just went in on my whole thing. And I made a course actually. And I remember I used to get paid 6,000 Canadian dollars a month for my previous job. But after I launched the course on the day of the deadline, I made 6,000 in like one day. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do my own thing. But that was like my best performing day ever. Nowadays it doesn't hit that number, but I can share the data later.
Yeah. Is this course? Because on your bio, I know you have like those templates. Where can people find your course, Jennifer?
Yeah, it should be in my bio as well. Sometimes I have the DM automation, so when people comment on my post, I directly send it to them. But I actually just did a whole analysis of my conversion rates, and it was like, to me, it was not good. So I was like, okay, I kind of need to fix this.
Okay, I'm excited to nerd out on the numbers. Well, I guess one, what's the price point of the product and what is the product?
Yeah, so it's at 299 USD. It's a unhinged life tracking course. And I think people get intimidated because they think it's all data and analytics and like tracking everything, but that's only a very small part of it. The bigger part is more like the holistic anti-burnout, anti-perfectionism kind of vibe. It's kind of like therapy, I guess, because I was a psychology student, and everything that I learned about, why you shouldn't grind until you burn out, and like, how to give yourself grace, how to have purpose and find your goals in life. That's all also in the course, but it's like not just setting a goal, it's like building a habit system so you can track the progress of that goal so you don't just drop it and then feel guilty at the end of the year. So I feel like I need to get better at my marketing and my messaging around that because people just think it's some analytics course.
Wow. And where's the videos or course hosted? Is it on school, on Udemy? Where do you host it?
No, it's actually on Xperiencify, and it's such a cool platform. I kind of want to share screen and show you what it's like because um like a lot of my audience is like very ADHD brain, like they can't go through like a whole video-based course. So it has to be very interactive. And I did this thing where I used to run it in cohorts, which was really good because when the deadline comes, it's like everybody's grinding. There's like a community. So let me share my screen. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so the first thing people liked is that there's subtitles like literally in the video because sometimes it's hard to focus if there isn't. There's also a transcript so you can just like search everything. There's like all these check boxes. Like I don't know if you can hear the sound, but people love that sound and they're like, I look forward to this every day because I get to hear that sound when I check it off. It's so satisfying. And then there's like a whole community where everybody gets motivated by each other, um, and like all that stuff. It's really cool.
How did you discover Xperiencify?
Yeah, it was through a Discord community that I was in. I feel like being a content creator, you get so many cool opportunities because I found out about this Discord community because somebody found my content and wanted to sponsor me to promote their community. And then I ended up joining. And then it was very helpful for me because they taught me all about quiz creation platforms. There's this one time that somebody from Toronto DM'd me and then I happened to go to Toronto around that time and I was like, hey, let's meet up. We met up. She actually works for a Stan store And then she, like a year later, invited me to their Collab Fest event. And there were a lot of big creators there, like people with millions of followers. And I met up with some of them there. And then one of them said I asked good questions and I should start a podcast. And this is somebody that I followed for like 5 years before I did content creation. Like he was such an inspiration for me. And then I emailed him and he was like, I'll be on your podcast. And then he was a guest and I was like, fangirling.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What are your DMs like, and do you go through all your DMs? And yeah.
Not all the time. I think people assume that everything's automated, and if somebody just replies to an automation with like thank you, then I'm not gonna reply individually. But if somebody asks a genuine question or replies to one of my Instagram stories with something specific or interesting, then I'll reply back. I actually meet up with and call quite a bit of people from my Instagram DMs. Like after we exchange a few messages, I haven't gotten any creepy messages, thankfully. It's mostly been cool people, so that's been really nice. Like when I went to Sydney, like the second time I went to Sydney, somebody recognized me. Like multiple people recognized me there, which is so weird because I'm like based in Canada, US. And it was so funny because one of them came up to me in a networking event and he was like, "Oh, you're like Vegan Tech Nomad." And then he pulls up his phone and shows me my username and then he's not even following me. And I'm like, and he's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I unfollowed you, but let me just refollow you real quick." And I was like, "Okay, thanks."
Wow, that's so cool. Do you think you attract like a lot of the tech sort of people? Or what do you think your audience is like? What's your demo like?
Yeah, definitely a lot of data analysts because I think that's what I kind of went viral for. And a lot of UX designers, product managers, mostly people who are like working and making probably 80 to 100K a year is my guess. There's also a lot of students as well, but I feel like the people who DM me are usually people who are similar to me. So like in tech, because they can relate to my stories.
I see. At what follow account did you start having other creators hit you up, collab opportunities, being invited to sort of like networking events? Yeah.
Like what follower count
Mm.
was I at?
Yeah. When
It's
that
kind
started
of
happening, you
weird.
think?
I feel like my situation is a bit unique because when I went viral, I got a bunch of followers overnight, basically, or like it felt like overnight. I actually have like slides and records of all of this everywhere, but it was very shocking because some of my videos, um, you'd expect them to, like, let's say a video with 2 million views, like how many followers do you think that would get me?
I'm guessing, well, I think most people would guess maybe like 50,000, but I guess maybe using Instagram myself a lot, I'm guessing maybe like 2,000, 3,000.
Okay, I have slides for this. Um, okay. So do you see the slide here?
Yes, I do see it now,
Okay.
yes.
So there was this random video that I made on TikTok. This is not on my brand account. This is like my personal account. 1.6 million views, and this actually got 510 followers only.
Oh,
But this other video on my Instagram got 4 million views, and this is like on my branded account. So it's very related to the niche. It actually offers something useful. It's not just like social commentary that is like entertainment. And you can see like the number of saves here is a lot higher than the number of saves here. And this one got me 44K followers. So
Whoa!
that's a huge difference. So that just means like it depends on what kind of video that you make that goes viral.
Wow.
And this is what got me like 10K email subscribers overnight as well.
Wow. And then with your email opt-in, what were people opt-in for? What did you tell them? Like opt-in for ABC?
That's actually also interesting. I made a few posts about this as well. When I first started, I literally just put a random coming soon email box here, and 10,000 people put their email in for that. And this is after they saw my video about like work documentation because I wasn't providing them with any freebies they could get. Like I was just starting out. So the only way that they could get more from me, like a template or anything, which I hadn't made yet at this point, was to subscribe. So I got like 10K subscribers overnight. But then I noticed that ever since I started to include like comment link for this free resource, people kind of didn't follow me and then they didn't subscribe to my email necessarily because there was like a clear way for them to get what they want and then just leave. And I've seen other accounts have this automation set up where it's like you have to follow me to get this resource, but I didn't want to pay for ManyChat to set up those complicated funnels. So I don't have that, but I probably eventually have to.
Huh. So what was the lesson, or what's the best way to get opt-ins and subscribes to your email list based on the data you collected and different tests?
I would say it's the lead magnets. I had a post about this somewhere where I sometimes posts that don't offer a clear way to get value performed better because people have to follow you to get more, or they have to like, you know, whereas on posts where I'm like, okay, just comment link, people comment link and then forget about it, or like they don't check their DMs and they'll go back to it later, but then they never go back to it. So I have never gotten like I've gotten millions of views since that post, but I've never gotten like a view to follow ratio as high as that because every other post I had like a comment link and get this resource type of thing.
Huh. Do you track the views for different hooks, different video lengths, different style of videos?
It's not that detailed, but because like I don't want to spend all my time like typing in everything manually. What I do though is this thing which I also did for my workplace. Can you guess which video got more views here?
I'm guessing the second one because maybe there's longer text, so it takes longer for people to read and therefore better retention, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. Like this is literally the exact same video, except I did hook testing. So this is what I do instead of like tracking all the other stuff. Because when I post everything, it's like the same video at the same time, then it makes a lot more sense as like an experiment because all the factors are controlled for instead of like posting one video once and then like, a few weeks later I post a similar video and then like I see how that goes. So I test this on TikTok because you're more likely to get an audience who doesn't know who you are. And I posted them at the same time. It's the exact same video, but the one on the left
Oh,
did way better. That's a big difference. And I never would have known if I just went with my instinct and I was like, okay, longer text, people stay and read more. But it turned out to be untrue. And that's why I'm like, everybody needs to test hooks because this messaging did so well for us that we revamped it for all of our other courses. So instead of learn data analysis, it was like learn UX design in 6 weeks as a beginner. And then we ran it as ads and it made us a lot of money.
Wow, that's so cool. And have you been playing around with Instagram trial reels?
Yeah, so I used to hate them because none of my videos were taking off with it because usually my followers who care about me will comment nice things. But then I realized I could just repost the viral videos as a trial reel and then get more followers that way. So that's what I started to do. So like the hooks that I already know work, I would post it as a trial and then like get more new people following me from that.
When it comes to your own personal brand, the vegan so tech, does TikTok or Instagram bring in more revenue? Like, is TikTok good for like revenue and sort of monetization of your audience?
I would say if I had to rank it, it would be like Instagram first, just because that's where my biggest audience is because I went viral there. I actually posted the same video on TikTok and then scheduled it over to Instagram, and it didn't go viral on TikTok, but then it went viral on Instagram. So good thing I scheduled it across both. And then next, I would say is YouTube because I stopped being consistent because I was traveling, but I still get comments being like, "Hey, I just am interested in your course." And this is on a video that was like months old, and I am monetized on YouTube as well.
Ah, that's so cool. Yeah, because I've sort of given up on TikTok. Is it worth getting back on TikTok or reposting stuff from Instagram onto TikTok? Or what's your thoughts on TikTok?
I use TikTok for a different purpose because it's so easy for me to make videos on TikTok and like hop on trends and just like edit videos and make videos on TikTok because otherwise I have to like film it on my camera and then like open my editing app and like put it all together. Whereas TikTok, sometimes it'll just select the music for you, and it's just so much easier and faster. So I primarily use it to test video concepts. So like I try to post almost every day or like 3 times a day on TikTok, just like random thoughts that come into my head. And then I look at how it performs. So if a post does well on TikTok, then I would schedule it across Instagram and YouTube and everywhere else. Because sometimes videos take off on YouTube, but not Instagram and vice versa.
Oh, so are you mainly mass testing, mass posting on TikTok, and YouTube and Instagram will come from TikTok?
Yeah, because it's just easier to make content on TikTok, and then it's a better indicator of whether my videos will reach a broader audience than just my followers, because I want to reach more people so I can grow my account more.
Oh, and how many times a week are you posting on TikTok?
It's more like once a day. I wanted to post like 3 times a day. I used to post 5 times a day, like very low effort. Like it is so easy to make TikToks. It takes like 5 minutes for me. Because it's just me ranting to the camera. That's the style videos I do. I don't do any of the cinematic, high effort B-roll scripting stuff. So it was like up to 5 times a day, but now it's probably just once or twice a day.
Oh, and then if you're doing once or twice a day, around like 7 to 10 times a week, how many posts would you be doing on Instagram then? Would be like,
Yeah. It's probably only like 5 to 10 posts on Instagram. So usually what happens is after like all the posts are out on TikTok, I'll look at the best ones that I like. Even if it didn't perform well, some of the ones I'm like, okay, I think this would do well on Instagram, and I'll take those. And I just schedule them out on Instagram, and then my Instagram is good for like the next 2 weeks.
I see. That's so cool. And I guess what's been your main focus over the last 6 months then, Jennifer? Has it been the content creation? Has it been creating a different course? Or what, yeah, what have you been working on recently?
Yeah, I feel like I have a lot of limiting beliefs. So in the beginning of the year, I focused on making this ADHD content creation course. There was one that was like a high ticket one, $2,000. And that was, I'm glad I did that because I learned a lot. Like there was this one person who paid for that course and then like didn't really show up to any of the live calls. And I had live calls like every single day trying to help people with their content. And they didn't really show up to all of the calls, but they paid me $2,000, and I was like, oh, I feel like I should be giving you more, but it's like ultimately up to them whether they want to put in the work. Hopefully they watch the recordings after and put in the work. But that was such a mindset shift for me because I was like, wow, people would just pay money, like big bucks, and then um it's not like what I'm used to, which is like if I pay $2,000, I'm like, I'm gonna show up to every single class, like I'm gonna make the most of my money, but some people out there have a different mindset. So when it comes to selling my stuff, I'm like, okay, sometimes you'll get these different types of audience segments. There's also somebody who dropped like $300 USD on my course, and then I emailed them like, hey, just so you know, the course is starting. And then they emailed me back like, oh, thanks for the reminder. I forgot about this. And I was like, how can you forget about a $300 purchase? But that was like the mindset shift was one that I got from doing that high ticket course, like January, February. Actually, it was January to March. And then I went traveling. And while I was traveling, I launched another course, pretty much the same thing, but at a much lower price for like a pre-recorded version of the same thing. And then I just got back from traveling, and now I'm gonna revamp my life tracking course because, okay, what happened was I went to that Collab Fest Stand Store event, and I was talking to this girl who made like $1 million from a course she made in 3 days. And I was like, what should I do? I have this ADHD content creator course and I have this life tracking course, but I feel like I can only make money from a business course because the ROI is there because like you're guaranteed to get money. Whereas the time tracking and life tracking is more like abstract. It's like, okay, you're saving time, productivity, like, it's harder to draw the line between the for the value there. So I was like, I can't charge as much for this life tracking course, but I really like it. And then she was like, that is a limiting belief. And I was shocked for my life because I was like, wait, you're right. I didn't like my belief dictated my actions because I charged $2,000 for the content creation course because I was like, okay, this is business. This is what you're supposed to do. But I didn't charge 2,000 for the life tracking course. So I was like, okay, I can't make money from this. But that's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. So now I'm like, I need to go back and revisit some of my data. And I looked at the data and I actually made more money overall with the life tracking course than the business course. So I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? I need to fix my limiting beliefs and then like go back to improving my life tracking course and focusing on that because that's what made me the most money. So like the numbers never lie. That's why I track my entire life.
What was the ticket, the price point of the life tracking product?
299.
$299, and it made more than the $2,000 course.
Yeah, because it was more aligned with what my audience wanted.
Yeah. And then with the 2000 or even the 299, was it just a website that people just paid, or was there any sales calls? What was the sales process like? Do they just go to your link and just purchase and pay?
Yeah, so I'll show you the landing page. I actually just sent out an email about this landing page and all the data, so I can share that as well. This is the landing page for my life tracking course priced at 299. It's literally just a Notion page. And I told people to go to it through my Instagram videos and all my social media videos, and also via email. And for my other courses, for the high ticket one, I think I had a landing page as well, but I had a video sales letter with this one. But ultimately, what converted people was I was surprised. Like the people who I knew, who I DM'd and emailed and talked to in Discord and stuff, were the people who purchased this. Like they weren't strangers, they were people who already knew me. And so I actually hosted like a webinar thing, and one person converted from that. But he said that he followed me like a year ago, and then we hopped on a call, just like a get to know you thing. And then he saw my YouTube video, which had under 200 views, and I was like talking about content while on the train to Niagara Falls. And he was like, okay, this is the energy I like. I already want to pay her. And then 1 year later, I launched something, and then he paid for it. Um, because I wasn't confident enough in myself to launch something like a year ago, but finally I got the confidence to get over my limiting beliefs and I had this page. So this was the pretty much the same as this other one, but this one was priced at $2,000, mainly warm leads. For the asynchronous one, because I built another one, this one was completely live. And I built another one that was basically the same thing as this, but priced way lower because it was asynchronous and you just watch pre-recorded videos that I filmed while in a random cafe in Vietnam. And it was like I didn't have a landing page. I just sent it to my email list and some people bought, but it was like $99. So I feel like that's an easy purchase for people who know me through my content.
And then how do people pay? Is there like a buy link? Does it bring it to like a Stripe payment page, or how do people pay?
Yeah, so it was through a like Xperiencify. So through this order form, like it's not
Ah,
optimized at all or anything. It's just like name and then like
ah.
payment plan and all of this.
And then the other one would be the 2000 version of this. It will be the same. It will be like a Xperiencify.
Yeah.
Ah,
It's very bare bones.
no, that's so cool. And how did you go about pushing these landing pages? Was it just like click the link in my bio, email blast, check out the landing page? If there's something interesting, put it in the YouTube description. How did you get traffic to the landing pages?
It was usually through like a comment link to check out this course, and then the link would go here. And I actually had like a preview thing. Okay, let me go back to here. The course preview.
Mm,
This. So I had this course preview that would let people try a little bit of the course for free. And
mm,
they could like I felt like it converted better and I had to look at the data, but I didn't have this for the first cohort, and the first cohort is what actually like converted the best. Because it was like my first time launching anything and I made such a big deal about it and stuff. So yeah.
oh. What are the numbers like? So when you do like an Instagram reel saying, hey, I'm releasing my first ever course, or this is my second cohort, you get like, I don't know, 20,000 views on that reel. How many people then go to your landing page? And yeah,
Yeah, so actually I
whoa,
have all
this
the
is
numbers
epic.
here. This is all approximate because honestly, not all of these views, I feel like I just counted the views of Instagram only. And I also counted the views of viral videos that pushed people towards a lead magnet for my mailing list directly instead of like for my course. So actually, this cohort where I got the most views, I did not like, I got the least sales, I think. Or like not the least sales, but like the worst conversion rate. But I think it's because the viral video was more entertainment than educational. So people were like, oh, this is cool. And then they moved on instead of like, this is cool. I need to learn more. So this is like my conversion rate for everything. Obviously, I don't know. Like I can only track the number of sales emails I sent and the clicks on my landing page link. I can't directly attribute which sale came from an email versus an Instagram, but it's pretty much the same for me because the people on my email list came from Instagram. So to figure out the conversion rate, I just did like the average of everything. So I did like sales divided by email opens or like sales divided by views, and like I didn't care about the direct attribution. So if you look at actually, it might be easier if I shared the write-up that I did about this because I summarized it all very nicely. So like the first cohort performed the most, but I also posted the most, so it made sense. Like I posted the most on Instagram and via email. And then I also had the most views on my landing page and the highest conversions from looking at the landing page to actually making a purchase. Um, I'm not sure why it dropped here because especially I think it's because like I got so many views on a video that it like really impacted the conversion rate because I had a bunch of viral videos, especially around like the new year. Oh, I can share my finances as well. So
You're so cool.
yeah, so in
Whoa.
August, the August cohort, the cohort that I had the most sales, where did it go? Here, the highest conversion rate, highest sales. That one I made 13.6K USD. And
Wow.
then that's because even though I priced my course at 299, when I first launched, it was 99 and then 199.
Mm.
And then when it was 199, people were emailing asking for discounts and being like, this is too expensive. And I raised the price to 299 and then gave them a discount code that basically brought it down to 199. And then I stopped getting complaints. So I was like, okay, it's just like a values thing, like a limiting belief.
Yeah.
That's when I realized like everything is just my own limiting beliefs. But anyway,
Wow.
in December, I made 12.7K-ish, and that was even with the like lowest conversion rates. Let me see where I made the money from. I also tracked my time 24/7, so I could see the return on investment in my time and which tasks were
Oh,
the
that's
best, like
sick.
writing emails. Okay, it doesn't say what they were. It just says B2B and B2C, but I can check.
And does your revenue correlate with your views?
I wouldn't say so. If anything, it correlates with emails, I think, like the email promotions.
Hmm.
No? I haven't dug into the data. It's just like my gut feel.
Oh, cool.
But it looks like in December, it's mostly from sponsors and the course. So I made 10K from the course. And let me just see, August cohort. Okay, 12K. And then I think you can see the margins were a lot worse in December, actually, because I was paying for a YouTube editor and a bunch of other software, whereas in August I was like chilling. I'm not an accountant though, so like when I paid my taxes, it was like 11K in taxes or something. I did not know how to count that here, so that's why this is negative.
Mm-mm-mm-mm. Ah. And then, do you think you get more sales from your email marketing or your social media posts?
So that was one of the questions I asked myself, and I looked to the data for answers. And well, everybody from my email comes from social media. It's
Mm.
just a matter of converting them through which lead magnets did the best.
Mm.
And I think I have a lead magnet thing here, but it's not exactly like there's no, I didn't know why the finance page only shows this little visitors, but I got so many subscribers from it. I feel like the numbers are off, but I could see which lead magnets converted the best. So tracking that is really important because I thought one lead magnet did the best, but then when you look at the conversion rate, that's not true. So the numbers really vibe check me here. Um, but email for conversions for sure. Because here, if you look at the pure numbers, the view percentage to sale is so much lower than the email opens to sale. Because I get a lot of comments on my emails being like, oh my gosh, you wrote exactly what I was thinking. Because like email, I can get across a lot more information, like deeper information than like a short video. So people have a deeper feeling of trust and a deeper relationship with me. And they're like, oh my gosh, I relate to this girl so much. She understands my problem. She must have a good solution to my problem. Therefore, I'm more likely to purchase to support her as well.
With your emails, how big is the email list now, Jennifer?
I think it's like still around 10K because it's actually been dropping. There was this one time when I sent out a bunch of sales emails and I saw the unsubscribe rate shoot up and I was like, oh no. But then I made a bunch of money and I was like, okay, well, I can cry with the dollar bills wiping my tears away.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
not to say that I'm just here for the money, but like it kind of like filters out the people who are like, oh, I don't want to like support you making a living. Because like I only promote stuff that I believe in that I think will help people. Like that girl who I talked to who made $1 million from the 3-day course, she said that she believes in her course so much that she feels bad for people who don't purchase because she knows that it can change their life. And I was like, I need that confidence because right now I'm too scared to sell because I'm like, oh no, I'll lose subscribers. People will think I'm a sellout, but it's just all limiting beliefs.
Wow. And then with your emails, Jennifer, do you routinely send out like a weekly newsletter? Is it all flows that are pre-written emails when they, yeah, what's the email strategy?
So I send 2 emails for 2 different newsletters per week. So I have this one that's bigger. It's, I think, around 10K. I send this out every Monday and I write it the day before. And then this one I send out every Friday, and this is around 700, 800 people, and this is more for my business audience. So most subscribers come from my Twitter, LinkedIn, Threads, or maybe YouTube, which is where I share the behind the scenes of my business. Like for people who want to make courses and stuff, I have like a whole guide about how I made my course in 2 weeks, and it's somewhere here. And then every time people ask me about it, I just link them to my videos and link them to my articles, and it's been such a time saver. That's how I started with content as well, and why I was able to stay so consistent because I was like, my friends keep asking me about organization and productivity and life tracking. I'm just gonna make a video, and then next time somebody asks me, I'll send them the video. And it turns out a lot of people found that useful. So
Do you have separate channels or accounts for the business course versus your just normal life tracking stuff? Or how do you segment the email list for that?
So yeah, this is kind of like separate accounts. And then, but for the Xperiencify, which is where I put all my courses, it's like the same account because I didn't want to pay for a different account.
Ah, so the business course up for all the people that bought your course, that there's the 700 list.
I actually promoted the business course across both newsletters. There's a bit of overlap between people who subscribe to the business one and people who subscribe to the productivity one. Um,
Ah, do you put
it's just
two links on all your videos and people can choose which
no.
list? Oh, so how did you
It
split it
depends
up?
on the platform. So, like, because when I went viral, I started sharing everything I was learning on the text-based platforms because I was like, I want to look back and be like, oh, this is how far I've come. And also, I have this irrational fear that I'm gonna lose my memory. So I'm like, that's why I track everything. And I'm like, I need to write down my learnings so that in the future I can look back and be like, oh, that's how I did that because my memory is also pretty bad. So I reference my own documentation and a lot of the time. It's just this time I publicized it. And a lot of people found that helpful. So I was like, let me start a newsletter for this because I used to have it as part of this newsletter, but then people were like, oh, I don't care about this. This isn't relevant. I don't want to start my own business. So I was like, okay, I just need to separate it.
Oh, I see. And I guess by platform, maybe Threads or Twitter, people are more in tune with this. So you have this for on your Twitter.
Yeah, yeah. So usually for my videos, unless I'm promoting something business specific, I'll lead people to my productivity stuff because the video is mainly about productivity. But if the video is business specific, or if I'm posting on like a business text-based platform talking about business stuff, then I'll lead them to this.
What's your YouTube posting schedule like at the moment, Jennifer? What does your YouTube account look like?
Yeah, it's very I stopped posting as much because I was just too, I don't know, like I feel like I need to do better research because um somebody commented like your stuff is so good, like please do keyword research because it's painful to see how like you're not blowing up on YouTube. Um
My
so I was
channel is
like I
dead
need to
on
take a
YouTube.
I'm sorry?
My channel is dead on YouTube. Like I get the same
Yeah.
comments. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, why am I spending all this money, spending all this time doing YouTube stuff if the fundamentals aren't correct? Like I have to look rethink the packaging, the idea, like the thumbnail, all of that stuff. Because right now I just like have a random idea and I post about it, but I'm like, no, I should validate this idea first and like maybe post a few short form video first, and then if people like it, then I'll make a longer YouTube video and then drive traffic to that with my Instagram stories or my mailing list.
But I reckon your YouTube probably converts a lot more than you expect. Like I think you probably have like a very niche, high value per subscriber audience on YouTube.
Yeah, people actually, when I had less than 2,000 followers on TikTok, I think somebody purchased my course. That's like 299 course from less than 2,000. Like no sponsor would pay that much for such a small TikTok account, right? So I was so shocked when they told me, they're like, I'm so glad I found you on TikTok. And then I have people who find me from YouTube as well. And I was like, wow, I'm just getting people who pay me from all over the place. Like they don't even look at the follower account for credibility. They see my face and my energy on video and they're like immediate conversion.
So I guess now with all the different platforms, what's going to be your focus for the next, say, 2 to 3 months?
Mm. I want to improve my funnel actually because
Mm.
one of the okay, so I had to look at the data first because I was so kind of like confused on what to do
Mm.
because shiny object syndrome. I'm like I want to do so much. I have like a podcast and all these platforms
Yeah.
and all these courses. So I just looked at the data and the data told me that I need to fix my funnel basically.
Okay.
And so I have this swipe files document where I screenshot anything that inspires me or anything that really convinced me to purchase something from someone. So I take inspiration from that and basically just like apply what they do to my own stuff. So I need to have my funnel be more like theirs
Hmm.
and repeat what works, double down on what works because for some reason I stopped doing this. And then I want to try ads eventually as well, because I feel like I can just get so much more data that way, and it doesn't have to be expensive.
Yeah.
And I also want to go back to YouTube, but we'll see.
And then how have you been organizing everything? Like you probably have so many files, so many screenshots, so many documents. How do you organize everything, Jennifer?
Yeah, so this is what I base my organization on. This is a template that was in my ADHD content creation courses. My actual stuff is a lot messier, but there's some like, people's contact info on there, so I can't share that one. So the first thing I have is usually this to-do list. So I gave up on all of my to-do list apps and everything because I spent more time organizing that than actually doing my to-dos. So I just have this today, tomorrow, later, which is based on the ABC method from this ADHD book that I read because I have trouble planning further than just today and tomorrow. So I'll do these. And then if this list gets too overwhelming, I'll just erase everything or like archive all of it and then start a new list because the things that are really important, I'll always remember. And then under today, there's always one big thing that I have to get done. And then I have all of this stuff, but the ones that I use the most are probably like the course page where I plan all my courses and then my planning page. I think I can share my planning one because what I do for both my life and my business is I plan like backwards, kind of like from the year to the quarter to the week to
Ooh.
the month, and then that gets broken down by daily into daily habits. Um,
So, for example, if you needed to look for a screenshot of you reaching your 10,000 first 10,000 followers, how would you do like is that somewhere and are you able to easily access that?
Yeah, it's just I screenshotted it on my phone. So I would just search it on my phone. But I have an album called Content, and then within the content album, it's like sorted into multiple sub-albums. There's one for swipe bios, which is stuff I get inspired by. There's one for all my videos. And then I screenshot some comments that people leave me that are really nice for motivation, and that's called wins. But I have a separate wins document here and a separate swipe bios document here as well. It's just if it's on desktop and I come across the comment on desktop, I'll screenshot it and put it on Notion on desktop. If it's on mobile, I screenshot it and put it on mobile. So like it doesn't have to be all in one place.
Do you tag all your photos so that it's searchable on your phone?
No, it's just if I search it, I think they can search the
Yeah.
text already, so I don't need to.
I see. How about if there's like a clip of you being really stressed and sort of burnt out? How would you go quickly find that if you
I would
wanted
just
that for an
film
edit?
it.
If it was like in the
I,
past?
then I don't really film B-roll. That's why my content style is very like I just film myself talking and film the because like I don't want to spend all this time looking for previous footage. That's why I used to have a travel, like I wanted to be a travel content creator, but I was like, no, this is too much. Like I can't be spending all this time looking at the old travel photos because, it's boring admin work. I can't do that. It's not, it doesn't work with my brain. So if I really needed it, I would just go to a cafe and film it or, just film it right then.
It makes sense. Okay, tell me about the whole the year, the month, the day, that whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so for my business, it's not super up to date. It's more up to date on my personal stuff. But basically, first I brain dump all of my ideas into this prioritization framework. It's based on ICE scoring. Have you heard of that?
No, I have not. No, tell me.
Yeah, it's like a PM term or product management. So ICE stands for impact, confidence, and ease, and it's like to prioritize projects that you or features that you want to do, and you just kind of score it. I score mine out of 10, and then you take the average, so like the highest rating goes on top. I just changed out ICE for the metrics that I care about in my life. So how much I like doing something, the time freedom it'll give me, like I'm not gonna be stuck in meetings all day and how much earning potential it
Whoa,
has.
that's cool.
So it's out of 10, and I have a formula here that takes the average of these three scores. So obviously the highest gets prioritized first, and I just plan my quarter this way. So I'm like, okay, this month I'm going to focus on this, and then the next month I'll focus on that. And then I put that into the quarters here. And then I have like the month calendar here, and then I start breaking it down into more like broken down tasks. And I put it here. You can see I've been very behind, but that's okay. And then I also have some daily routines and habits, which I stopped doing, but I still do it in my personal life, and that's been keeping me on track.
What's
So
the vibe
basically,
check?
I'm
At the
sorry?
top, I saw there was like a vibe check. What's the vibe check?
Oh yeah, okay. So the vibe check is every time I get stuck and I'm like, this plan doesn't work, I don't want to do it anymore. I click this and I'm like, okay, why? Because I'm very like action oriented. Like a lot of people overthink too much and then they don't take action. I think I'm the opposite. So I have to do this vibe check to like slow myself down before I jump into something I regret. Because a lot of time is just time wasters. Like I need to learn to say no. So I have this decision log where I ask myself these questions. So every time there's an important decision, I would press this new button and then it would just like I fill in these questions. And then by the end, when I force myself to basically think about this, I'm like, okay, like I would have said yes to this, but after doing this, I it's a better idea for me to not say yes.
Mm.
I also have this common patterns thing. So I dumped some of my stuff into ChatGPT and it told me basically my issues and how to solve them. Like I tend to just like push through with things. If I feel stressed or overwhelmed, I'm like, no, let me just push through. I think it's a very runner trait because if I'm suffering in a marathon, like I have to just push through, but that doesn't always apply to like my energy levels when it comes to my own business. So it's like you need to be more aware of your emotions instead of just ignoring them. So that was just something for me to remind myself with. And I just put a roast document here because I was like, I don't learn unless it's a roast. I might add more here later.
I like this.
But yeah. So for the routine stuff here, like every single day, I actually try to ask myself some questions. I've been behind, but when I when I do this, it feels like I'm making progress and then I feel so good. And then at the end of the week, I look at all my daily stuff and then I summarize the week and then based on the daily stuff, because otherwise I wouldn't remember. And then every quarter, I look at all my weekly stuff and then it's like asking myself more of these questions to make sure I'm on track. And then at the end of the year, I just look at the quarter stuff and I answer the questions. And it just like builds on top of each other. Because if at the end of the year, I'm like, what did I do on this random day in May or like this quarter or this week, then I'm not going to remember. So I have to do all of this. And this is what's in my course, except for personal life. And people say that when they do this, it helps them actually live with intention and be more grateful for their life because then they can actually remember what they're doing instead of just letting life pass them by.
Interesting. What do you think is your, like when you track your time, let's say you work 8 hours in a day, how many hours do you think would have went to morning routines, habits, putting things into to-do lists, Notion, and how much percent would be work?
So usually I time these reflections. So it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes to write some thoughts in my head, and that turns into content. But I stopped doing that. To actually answer these questions, again, it's like 5 to 10 minutes. And for my personal journaling, it takes maybe 15 minutes per week to do the weekly reflections and answer the questions. But it's like time that I like because I'm like, yay, I get to discover all the fun things I did this week. And then for my journaling, because I journal every day, like in detail what I do. So I'll do like a voice note and then AI cleans it up for me and then I copy paste that into my journal. So it's pretty fast. It's like 10 minutes for daily journaling. And then the daily journals help me write my weekly reflections and then that helps me with my monthly reflections. So I would say like each reflection takes less than 15 minutes.
Wow. And Jennifer, week to week on average, how many days would you be productive, completing everything you just mentioned and getting work done on top? And how many days would be sort of maybe more flop of a days where there's a bit more procrastination, or maybe you just take the whole day off because you're just tired? Yeah.
Well, it depends on how you measure success because for me, I have this thing where like every day I have that one thing that I need to get done, like the most important thing, or like the minimum viable action is what I call it. So like as long as I get that thing done, then I'm happy with my day. Like I don't even need to get anything else done. On a good day, like ideally I would get more than just that one thing done. But most of the time I would complete that one thing. I would say like 80 to 90% because it just gives me so much focus. Because before I had the one thing that I absolutely need to do and prioritize, I would be like, I don't know what to do. It's too much work to start. And then I would procrastinate. But I would measure my productivity and success by just like that one focus. So then I feel good. And then the next day I'm like, yay, I can do more instead of being like, oh, I didn't get anything done and like beating myself up about it. So I feel like even with my therapist, she's like, oh my gosh, your thinking patterns, if you think about yourself being like, oh, I'm worthless because I didn't get this stuff done, I'm lazy, I'm not disciplined, like that's not really gonna help you. So I'm like, okay, as long as I get this one thing done, it is a good day. And the one thing can be as simple as like I just drink a cup of water or like I rested or took care of myself. Because otherwise I'm just gonna feel bad about myself and then that will last weeks where I just don't do anything because I'm so burnt out because I'm like criticizing myself all the time.
Got it. How do you go about, do you track or somehow realize like doing the things you love versus looking at the data and and seeing the things that make money but you don't really enjoy doing and it hurts to do.
Yeah, so in my course, I categorize it as like, dislike, and necessary. But my students, I think some of them categorized it as gives energy, drains energy, and neutral. And I make them do this time and energy audit, which you can do if you don't, um, let me find the template. If you don't want to track your time 24/7, you can just do an estimate and do this time and energy audit, and it helps you so much. But I do tag it like, dislike, and just like chores that are necessary. I teach my students that if they don't like doing something, try and pair it with something they do like, so then it cancels out and becomes kind of neutral. So this is the time and energy audit. Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I basically listed out everything somebody could do for the entire week. And I make my students, before they start tracking their time 24/7, which is an optional part of the course, I'm like, okay, estimate how many hours per week you spend on this. So if you sleep 8 hours per night and times that by the number of days per week, you would sleep 56 hours. And then some people put work as draining energy. Some people put it as neutral. Some people were shocked by how much time that they had left over. Like they were supposed to have a lot of free time and they're like, where's all this time going? Some people were shocked at how much time they would be spending on social media because if you spend like 1 hour a day scrolling, that's like, or like, and then you do that for 5 days a week, that's already 5 hours gone. And then at the end, it just tallies it all up and it shows you your neutral hours, your energy giving hours, and energy draining hours. And then at the end, it shows you how many hours you have that give you energy that you spent doing time or doing things that you like. And if the total energy giving hours is positive, then it's all good because you're not gonna feel burnt out. Like you're doing more things that you like. But some students had it in negative and they're like, oh, no wonder I feel so burnt out. Like I need to prioritize more time for well-being and hobbies. Because right now, all I'm doing is scrolling social media. And then when they see the numbers, it really vibe checks them and forces them to kind of rethink their relationship with time and live a more intentional life that they can feel more purposeful in. And then I also do this thing called Life in Weeks that vibe checks my students. So I get them to put their birth date here and then they see this whole thing and they're like, some of them feel bad when they see this because they're like, oh my gosh, I already wasted this much time and I only have this much time left. And then some of them are like, oh wow, I actually learned a lot and accomplished a lot in just this little amount of time that I have. But basically seeing this visual makes them be like, okay, I need to take things more seriously now, which makes them more motivated to do the tracking. Because a lot of people are like, ew, tracking is boring. Why would you prioritize this? But I'm like, well, you have finite time and energy and attention in your life. Like, would you rather kind of go through it unintentionally, not knowing what you're gonna do, or would you rather know where your hours are going so you can do it, like put it where you actually want it to go?
Oh. Were you always tracking your whole life? Or, yeah, I guess when did it start, Jennifer?
Yeah, so when I was in, like, as soon as I could write, I was journaling, like, on and off. When I was, like, 10 years ago, when I was, like, 15 years old, maybe 14 years old, I would journal every single day. I've never missed a day, and people ask me how that's possible, and it's because I sometimes put one sentence or I sometimes do point form notes. And everybody in my course was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that you could just journal one sentence. And I was like, limiting beliefs and like minimum viable action. But ever since then, I started journaling every day and I was like, okay, what about I track other stuff too? So in 2017, when I was 18 years old, I tracked my how many potatoes I ate and how many times I pooped in a year. And
Oh, wow.
it's just like for fun. People
Yeah.
think I'm tracking because I'm like, oh, I need to make everything productive, but I just track because it's fun and I like making cute graphs and finding out things about myself. So ever since 2017, I've tracked like my poop count so I can see the trends over the years. And in 2022, I tracked my time 24/7 because I took this data analysis course and I didn't want to work with boring data sets. So I worked with my life data. And then my project went viral because it had a pretty dashboard because Like it's fun for me to make pretty dashboards with colors and emojis.
Nice. How do you go about time tracking for all this different activities? Is it on your phone app?
Yeah, like right now I have it on like the podcast that we're on right now. And I got my friends to do this as well and students of my course to do it. And they find it so fun because they'll name it weird things like rotting in bed or, just funny things. And then they don't do it all the time. But when they can look back and be like, oh, I spent this much time in deep work working on my business, it feels so good. And then when they see the timer and they have to like when they want to doom scroll and they have to physically change the timer, they're like, okay, do I really want to doom scroll right now? And then they'll do something else instead. So like the act of tracking actually impacts their behavior. I noticed that as well. Like I used to spend an hour doom scrolling in bed before getting up and going about my day. But ever since I started tracking my time, I was like, okay, I have to change the timer from sleep to doom scrolling, and that does not feel good. So now I change the timer from sleep to bathroom, and then I actually get up and use the bathroom and like I'm not wasting an hour on my phone.
Is the app set up in a way where you can technically just go to TikTok and start doom scrolling and you don't switch over the time, or how does the app work?
No, it's all manual, so sometimes people forget about it, but for me, I'm like, okay, every day is a new day. If you forget, just go back to it and try again, and eventually you'll always remember. And you can also retroactively change it if you want. I just got used to it now, and it's all manual because people who automate it, I feel like they don't really, they're not being mindful of their time. When I physically have to change my timer to be like, oh, I'm gonna start cleaning my room now. And then I go clean my room and I look at my timer and I'm like, oh, this only took like 10 minutes. I thought it was gonna take 2 hours. Then it's like a lot better. Like it helps with my time blindness and time estimations a lot. Also, when I track my time for like sleep and other stuff, I'm like, okay, now I can see trends between this and my energy levels through the day and like if I have a good day or a bad day, because I also track my happiness levels. So then at the end of the year, I can just take all of that and analyze it.
Oh. And then, like, for example, once this podcast ends, you'll pause the podcast timer. And then let's say you're just a bit exhausted. So you're just sitting there, like, just trying to process and figure out what to do next. Is there a timer for that?
Yeah, usually it would be like get ready or something, or like phone if I'm scrolling on my phone. It can be anything you want. Like some people have just like laying on the floor time and you can name it whatever you want. The important thing is I have to label it with like, does this give me energy, drain energy, or neutral? And then that way, at the end of the week or the end of the month, you can actually review and be like, how was this month for me in terms of my energy levels and what I spent time on? Because I used to do this thing where I would look at my top most spent time tasks for the month and be like, okay, at the beginning of the year, I said I wanted to spend more time doing this. Like I wanted to spend more time on my business. That's one of my goals. Was this actually true? And if one month it was like, oh, I actually spent more time on my phone than on my business, like this is not good, not according to my goals. So then the next month I would adjust that. And I wouldn't do that if I didn't track my time. And then I realized that I also had to track my finances because I never used to do that. And I was like, okay, the act of tracking it vibe checks me so much that I feel pressured to change my behavior for the better.
Nice. When you started tracking a lot in like 2017, which year do you think you started sort of experiencing burnout or maybe mood swings, or when did you start therapy? I'm curious if there's like any correlation with tracking, because like usually if you journal every day, you've been doing it for a long time. Yeah, like I'm surprised.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that I experience burnout a lot because I tend to do things that give me more energy. A lot of people were surprised by how I can do so much, but it's because I pick the things I do, and most of the time it's things that I like. So I can do a lot of things that I like, but if you ask me to like handle accounting or something for just 1 hour, I'm like, no, this is horrible, and it feels like 8 hours of pain, even though it's just 1 hour. So I try and pick things that I like doing instead of things that I hate. I try to delegate those, but the thing about my journaling is I journal like what happened that day, which is helpful for if I'm looking at my bank statement, I'm like, what was this weird charge? And I go reference my journal. I'm like, what did I do this day? What did I spend money on? But it's not helpful in terms of like personal development, introspection stuff. Because unless I'm really sad and I need to rant, I don't talk about my emotions in my journal. It's very like factual reporting. And with therapy, sometimes my therapist makes me like actually reflect more. And then I also read more self-development books. So that is a completely separate journal. So my usual journal is like a report of what I did throughout my day that I can read if I get Alzheimer's or dementia in the future, I guess. Whereas my therapy journal and reflections are more like emotional and how I can improve as a person. But that usually comes from talking with other people because I'm a very like, I learn more by talking with other people. So when people give me feedback and I can come up with new ideas by answering questions they ask me, I feel like I make a lot more progress. But it's just like who I am. Like it doesn't work for everybody. Sometimes people prefer journaling, but I prefer talking to people.
Makes sense. And then when you track happiness or sleep, when you started therapy versus before and after, how are the stats? Same, went up?
No, it's about the same. The only thing that impacted my happiness rating was time spent with loved ones, like friends, family, etc. And I'd say like exercise, especially exercise outdoors. Those were the significant things. If I am spending a whole day outdoors, running with my friends, having good conversations, then that impacts my mood the most. Like I notice, I'm like, oh, I like my work so much. Like I could work all day. And I look at my happiness scores, I'm like, huh, it didn't impact it that much. Whereas if I'm like spending time with my friends, I'm like, oh, I should be working. I feel guilty. But then I look at my happiness score and I'm like, oh, this is so much. So like I should ideally prioritize more time with loved ones, especially outside.
Huh. Do you track friends, relationships, outings? Is that something you track, Jennifer?
Yeah, so that's part of my time tracking. So I used to just have it as like just friends, and I started separating it by like the actual names of the people because I saw this Instagram reel of this guy who went viral about the same time I did. He tracks every half hour of his life and every conversation he has with random people, even if he's only met them once. I actually met up with him in LA and we talked like and I showed him around his own city. Um, and that was really cool. But ever since I saw his reel where he's like, I track every single person I talk to, and then at the end of the year, I send them their stats list. Like, you were number one person I talked to. I was like, okay, I'm getting inspired here. Maybe I should do that as well. He
Oh.
tracks everything on his spreadsheet manually though, and I'm lazy, so I just use this app. So I just have to press play and then it tracks. He like physically types it in his spreadsheet, and that's too much for me. But now I also send my friends like, hey, you were like the number one person I spent time with this year. And that includes the time that I spend texting them.
You know how Spotify has the Spotify Wrapped and it shows all your ranked.
Yeah.
I had a friend that did it for friends, where like the amount of hours with each friend and who where everyone ranked. Yeah.
I need to do that at the end of this year. And you know what's funny is that since I have the like, dislike, necessary thing, I noticed with my ex-boyfriend, it towards the end of the relationship, every time that I logged like his name, it started being dislike. And I was like, wait, this shouldn't happen. I should like spending time with him. And then we broke up and I was like, oh, it makes sense.
Wait, so you're manually tagging it as dislike,
Yeah.
and then wouldn't it clock straight away like, hey, there's something wrong here because there's so many dislikes?
But then at the time, I'm like, okay, it makes sense because like we're having an argument, so like whatever, or like, this doesn't feel like quality time. He's just playing video games. I'm just doing my own thing. Like at the time, it made sense. And then at the end of the month or the year, I'm like, wait, why are there so many dislikes? I also track my cry count and then the reasons for crying. So I was like, wait, why did I cry so much because of this one person?
Like, do you track everything on one Excel sheet, or is this multiple Excel sheets? Like, that's everything from friends time, crying, happiness score, running. Is it all in one thing, or is it on many different things?
So it used to be a Google form, but I stopped doing that because I wanted pretty colors and stuff, and Google form is not giving me that. So I started doing it on here. Can you see that screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I moved it to Notion at the beginning of this year. So I actually have not updated my course with this. The course still has the Google form. But
Mm,
like when I go to the bathroom, I'll click this and
mm.
then it basically has me tag everything. And there is a lot of vibe tags
Yeah.
for the types of poops that I have and the Bristol stool. Um,
Ah.
and also sometimes I include pictures. Luckily, today's there are no pictures, but sometimes I'm just proud of or like shocked and I'm like, maybe I should include a picture from my doctor. So I have that. And then for the cry count, it's also here. And it's like the cry category and the duration. And sometimes I cry in movies, so I'll just have those
And how do you
tagged.
get the duration of your crying?
Oh, it's a formula. So basically, when I click the button, it starts a new page, and then the date is like the day that I start the new page. I have a YouTube
Oh,
tutorial on this.
wow.
And then when I'm done my cry session, I'll be like, okay, hold on, let me update my cry. And then I'll click done, and it makes me happy to click this button. And then it'll update the end date, and then the
Oh,
formula just takes the
wow.
difference between the start and end dates.
And then, so this is just one of your many sheets. So you have something different for your friends tracking.
That is time tracking.
Ah,
So a
that'll
lot
be
of things
time.
are on my time tracker, and then I
Mm.
just have this, which is like, my happiness score, my whether I practice gratitude, if I did meaningful work, and then any notes from the day.
Mm.
And then my journal is also completely separate. So I actually have like three different places.
Mm. How about stuff for like running? Do you have a separate tracking for running distance?
That's just
Strava?
Strava,
Mm.
but I started a marathon training log. So
Wow.
this is not my sheet, but the formulas are amazing. So, oh, I have to update it with today's, but this is my plan basically.
Oh, that's so funny. Do you have ADHD, Jennifer?
I'm pretty sure I do. My previous therapist made me fill out a form, and she's like, it's not a question of whether you have ADHD or not. You definitely do. And I was like, oh, like this doesn't feel like a formal diagnosis, but like she's the expert, I guess. And a lot of people in my life who have ADHD have told me that I have very much ADHD traits. And some people, they're like, how can you have ADHD when you track everything? And I'm like, I have to track everything because like otherwise I wouldn't remember and like I wouldn't know what's going on in life.
And then Jennifer, when you were in LA meeting up with that LA guy, how did you know show him around his own city? Like, how did you know LA more than he did?
Yeah, I don't know why, but
Was
I
it your
guess
first time there, or were you there many times?
no. No, I was there once before and he lives a bit outside of the city. So I actually, I don't know, I showed him all the tourist spots and he was like having the time of his life. And I'm like, don't you live here?"
Yeah, yeah.
And then I showed him this really good vegan restaurant that had like the best carbonara of my life. And he went there without me. And he's like, "Jen, I'm vegan for the day because of you." And I was like, oh,
What made you go vegan, or like, is it health benefit, religion? Yeah.
I saw a sad documentary when I was like 12. And then I was like, Mom, Dad, I want to be vegetarian. And they're like, no. And I was 12. So I was like, okay. And then when I was I think 16 or 17, I was like, okay, I'm old enough now. Like, I'm gonna go vegan. And it was very helpful because there was another vegan at my school and we became friends. So that, like, just seeing that it was possible was helpful for me. I actually wanted to make vegan food content because I take a lot of pictures of my food. Like, I have my 56 grams of tofu protein here. But then it was just too much work to edit the videos. Like, I can't, like, I'm very live in the moment ADHD vibe. So like if I'm making a video, it's like filming my face in the moment, filming my screen in the moment, and then I'm done. Like I can't be going through the old footage and like putting it all together. That's too much work.
Wow. So it was a documentary, I guess, about the pain that animals go through, and that made you want to go vegan.
Yeah, I saw a very graphic one in when I was 12 and I couldn't go vegan then. And I saw one that was more like environmental focused. And then I was like, okay, this is the last straw. Like I'm gonna go vegan. And it was supposed to be 1 week, but then it ended up just being, I think, 9 years now. And what's funny is when I was also in grade 8, my teachers assigned this project where we had to track our fruits and vegetables intake. And because the act of tracking impacted my behavior and I wanted an A in that class, I started eating a bunch of vegetables. And that entire week, I was like, I ate all my vegetables today, like all the suggested servings. And then the entire week, I had so much energy. So I was like, okay, vegetables are healthy. And then I went vegan, and now, like, I don't know if it's the vegan energy from the vegetables or if it's like the ADHD energy, but I'm like, I could run like 10 miles every day.
That's crazy. How do you go about tracking your macros?
I used to do that for marathon training, but now I don't. I just like eat my tofu, my electrolytes, and then I'm good.
Nice. Do you use AI to analyze data at all, or have you been using AI in any way, Jennifer?
Yeah, I try not to too much, but for my journaling, I do the voice to text thing, and then AI cleans it up because sometimes there's errors. For my weekly vibe checks, which I'm kind of behind on, I would copy paste my journal and then be like, I think there's a prompt that I have that was in one of my newsletters where it was like, please outline any cognitive biases or like, some things that you notice that are problems with my phrasing and stuff. It's basically acting like my therapist. Okay, let me find the prompt for you because some people loved it. Um, okay, so maybe I didn't have it. Oh, okay. You are an introspective psychologist. Let me share my screen because it was a really cool prompt. And I made this prompt myself too. So you are an introspective psychology expert with a background in cognitive biases, decision making, relationships and social connection, business, entrepreneurship, metacognition, marketing, and content creation. So these are everything I'm interested in. Your job is to summarize my week, point out any observations or patterns to help me improve, because like my blind spots, and ask me reflection questions so I can combat my biases and errors in thinking and decision making. And then I would copy paste my journals. And then this was an example where it's like, okay, you did this. This is not good. This is how you improve. And I was like, oh, wow, my therapist brought this up as well. And then I journaled about these reflection questions. And this just helps me become a better person.
Oh, and then Jennifer, this post, was this an email?
Yeah, so this was on my main newsletter, and it was titled How I Vibe Check Myself Every Week. And I have a bunch of iPhone shortcuts as well. So, like, every time I go to the bathroom, I use my poop shortcut, which I can show you. So it says poo time, if you can see that.
Wow.
And every time I have to go to sleep, I use my sleep shortcut, which when I press it, it sets my alarm. It turns on sleep mode on my phone, and like it sets the sleep timer on my 24/7 time tracking stuff. So it's like I just one press and then it gets automated.
It's cool how you've been tracking your whole life through those like newsletters basically, and you just do what you've been trying and testing out. Do you have like, oh, I guess you write it a day before, right? Or do you have a list of ideas to pick from the day before?
Yeah, I it's very messy. Like I just have a Notion and it's like all the random thoughts I have, I actually message it to myself on Messenger. And then at the end of the day when I journal, I'll copy paste whatever stuff I set as a reminder to myself into the necessary spot. So sometimes it's like YouTube videos I have to watch, so then I'll watch them. Sometimes it's like stuff that I have to copy paste to my Notion.
Huh. Do you have dedicated like consuming content time, whether it's YouTube, TikToks, podcasts?
Not really. It's just stuff that I like. Let's say I come across a YouTube video on mobile and I'm like, I want to watch this on desktop, then I would just message it to myself. I don't spend that much time consuming content actually. Most of the time, I actually just like listen at two times speed while I'm cooking or doing another chore. Or I'll just like copy paste the transcript or copy paste the video URL and I'll go to Notebook LM and then get it to summarize and make a mind map and like ask questions and stuff.
When you're eating, do you usually eat in silence or do you watch a YouTube video? Yeah.
I eat while working on my stuff. So like I'll be writing emails and then eating.
Wow.
I don't really watch stuff. Like I don't have Netflix or anything. I only watch movies with my sister.
So after you finish your one thing each day, what do you usually spend the rest of your day doing?
So a typical day in the life is like I'll wake up, do my one thing, and then go for a run or the gym or like some kind of exercise, make food and stuff. And then the rest of the day, it's either I spend on my own work stuff or like I hang out with friends and like chat with people. But most of the time it's like my own business stuff.
Oh, how many hours are you usually working every day or every week?
I feel like it's not that much. Probably like 2 or 3 hours a day.
Oh, and then what would you spend the rest of the day doing?
So like video call with my boyfriend because we're long distance. We just be chatting for hours, um, working on like planning for my life tracking course, like writing a bunch of emails
That would go
as
under
part of the
work.
funnels. And
Would that be counted as work?
oh, I wouldn't do it at the same time as talking to my boyfriend, but like it would be counted as work. Huh. Okay, this is why I have to time track because now I'm like, where is my time going? Let me see. I want to look at the last week. So, oh, I guess this month. So let's see what it says. I don't know if I can share this because it has people's names on it. Okay, so 33% of the time was sleep. I actually sleep quite a bit. And
How
then
much hours of sleep do you sleep on average each day?
8 to 9
Nice.
because I need it for recovery for my runs. And then last month was, or this month was pretty bad for social media. So it was like 9% on my phone. And then, because I got back from traveling and I was like the post-travel blues. So I was like, oh my God, I'm looking at all my old photos. And then the next one is 9% spent with friends and loved ones. So like my sister, my hang out with friends, calling with friends. And then 8.77 on my business. So I am doing an accelerator right now. So meetings for that or filming, looking at analytics, learning all of that stuff. And the rest is just like random chores, food, hygiene, showering, stuff like that.
Oh, how do you go about your time with friends and calling friends? Do you just randomly, spontaneously call them, or do you schedule in chats? Do you give them a heads up? Hey, are you free in an hour? What's usually your go, like your?
It depends on the friend. Sometimes it's just random calls. Sometimes it's like you message ahead of time. But I think most of this is like weekend hangouts or time with my sister almost every night. So that's why it's so high up because I'm like spending time with my sister basically every night.
Is your
And I
sister
also
older or
count the time
younger?
that I younger. Yeah, I also count the time that I'm texting people as like friend time. So
So what if there's only like one message or two messages to reply to? Do you quickly turn it on, reply to those two messages for 30
oh
seconds and turn
no.
it off?
If it's small stuff like that, like let's say I'm working on writing an email for work and then I have to quickly respond to a message, it'll stay on work timer because at the end of the year, it's like a few hours or minutes are not really gonna matter and skew the data that much. Actually, I think last month is more accurate because this month, after my traveling and my marathon, I was like, oh, I miss the marathon. I miss my, scrolling on my phone. But last month, the top one was relationship and then business and then chores, mainly due to waiting at the airport. Yeah, I spent 15, 16 hours waiting at the airport because I traveled a lot last month. And then it's friends and flights and stuff.
Have you been traveling just like fun, recreationally, just trying to explore new places?
Yeah, it's mainly for fun and to visit my partner. So I traveled for like 8 months last year and I was gone for like 2 months this year. So it was a lot of traveling, and I'm very lucky to do so. I wish there was a world where people could be like me, because I feel like people tell me all the time I'm like living their dream lifestyle. Because like part of the reason why I made the ADHD content creator course is because I just want us to all make content and have businesses so we can support each other instead of paying big corporations. But I have to get over my own limiting beliefs before I really go hard on promoting all these courses. Yeah, I would say it's mostly for fun, but I don't post about travel because I'm scared of getting stalked. So
What type of books have you been reading, Jennifer?
mostly self-development. I was reading Fight Right earlier on my run. Well, I was listening to the audiobook on my run earlier today, and I finished reading Crucial Conversations, I think. That was a really good book. Nonviolent Communication. Um, what else? Yeah, it's mostly like communication related.
And then what got you to read so many communication books?
Just like being a better person in general for like relationships with friends and my partner, because I'm like, well, they bring me the most happiness, so like I should also try and bring them the most happiness. Because I got feedback from friends that I'm too solution oriented and like optimistic sometimes, where it's like dismissive of their feelings. So I'm like, okay, I need to read up on this stuff. Atlas of the Heart was very helpful for that, and so was my therapist.
So what was like the biggest takeaway from all these communication books?
It was to focus on observation, not judgment or criticism. So if you're trying to give somebody feedback, it's like, okay, the last few times this happened, this is what I observed. This makes me think of this because I have this need and like I have a request. I actually wrote an article about this, and so many people replied to that, being like, this is so helpful. I loved this. So let me there's too many articles about this. It's um all on my newsletter. I can link it for you, but it one of them people loved it because they felt stuck in their relationships and they were like, I needed this right now. Okay, here it is. My relationship hot takes. I'll link it to you to read later, but um yeah, it's a good one.
Oh, and I guess this was like one of your newsletters.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I love making content because when I'm talking about something, I just send it to people instead of like always re-explaining. Because sometimes when I write, I word things a lot better than when I'm trying to remember and explain.
Besides when people ask and then you link them an old newsletter, is there any second use for these old newsletters? Do they ever resurface or are they just kept there in the archive until people ask for it?
They're mainly in the archive, but I've been wanting to improve my content system a bit more where I actually have the data for this somewhere. I don't know if I can find it, but I took all of the emails and I looked at how many people commented on them, saying that they found it useful or helpful. And then the top one is like the topic that I'm going to make video content about. So I want to make a system like
Mm.
that, but I'll see if I can find the graphs.
Right now, are you searching keywords or are you just scrolling down?
Um, I just scroll down because I know these are all recent. I only write one per week,
I
so
see, makes sense.
yeah. Yeah, I can't find the data, but you'll have to trust that I kept records of this.
Nice. And then do you do any automatic flows when people subscribe? Or is it they just go, they'll just get the weekly?
Yeah, so I also have documentation on this. Maybe I can share my screen one more time. This
Oh, please.
documentation, everybody's like, how do you have time to do all this? I'm like, what do you mean? It saves me so much time. So, yeah. Newsletter. So this is basically how I set everything up from the onboarding, welcome email, like everything. So I actually have an onboarding sequence that makes use of psychological principles. So if you go to my onboarding sequence, it actually has like okay, let me show you it right now. If I subscribe and then I put my email, it actually has a little progress bar here, being like, okay, you're not done yet. And that should incentivize people to check
Mm,
my email and help with getting my email in their inbox. Because if they're not checking their email, then it's just going to end up in promotions and they're not going to see
mm.
my emails. And I'm like, okay, I have a surprise gift as well. And then there's like some social proof here and links to stuff. So I have that and a tutorial for how to do that. And then the welcome email itself, for my welcome email, it's like, can you please reply so I don't end up in promotions? And I have some examples here and some psychology reasons for why I wrote what I wrote. And then I also have a welcome sequence automation after where I tell them, hey, just so you know, for the next few days, I'm going to be sending you some productivity tips. And then I look at the survey responses for the tips and then see how people like them. And then that's just building a lot of trust. And I also promote my course a little bit in these. And then after that, they're like, oh my gosh, this girl is giving me so much helpful info. Then all the newsletters I send them, they'll be more likely to open it. And I actually had a newsletter that people, like my friends in real life, were like, oh my God, this is so good. People were DMing me on Instagram being like, I got this email from you. This is so good. And it was this email. And it was all about perfectionism because I was like, okay, if I can send an email like this to 10K people, like you can get, not get over, but like you can combat your perfectionism and, you know, just do that thing that you've been procrastinating.
Mm. So Jen, it seems like you're just doing what you love all day, every day. Like you just love tracking, you love putting together these newsletter about recent things you're implementing. You love implementing new things that you want to try out and then documenting that. So you created this cool flywheel effect of just like doing what you love, and I guess the money just comes naturally.
Well, it's not that great, but I would say like when you put it that way, it does sound good. I feel like when you're always comparing yourself to other people, like I'm looking at all these other creators who are making so much money, who have really good videos, like cinematography is like on point. I'm like, oh, I should do more. But now I'm like, okay, maybe I do have a pretty good life. So it's a reminder that the grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it.
I love that. And there's a chance that maybe even though they're making more money, they might not be as happy as you. And they might not have as much infinite energy as you because you're doing what you love. And I think in the long run, you'll sort of catch up and overtake if you keep doing what you love.
Yeah, that's the hope. I actually had people message me when I went viral like 1 year ago, and they're like, you're gonna make so much money. Like, I already know your potential, but I didn't believe that myself. Like, I was undercharging a lot of the time. I was like, oh, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. Like, I don't have a business degree. And then because of that, I didn't launch any high ticket products. And remember when I was talking about how this guy was like basically ready to buy from me 1 year ago, but I didn't have the confidence to launch a high ticket product until a whole year later. And then that's when he bought. And for me to even launch that product, I had to hire a coach for like $6,000 to basically give me that confidence because he told me that if I'm hiring an Olympic level runner to teach me stuff for like $2,000, I'm not expecting that runner to turn me into an Olympian. I'm just expecting them to help me get better. And that's kind of what other people expect of me as well. Like there's this one DM that I got and somebody was like, I know you have all this free stuff, but like, how can I pay you? I want to support you. And I was like, oh my God, I also have that mindset with other people. Why do I expect people to only want free stuff from me? So a lot of it is just like limiting beliefs and mindset shifts.
How did you go about finding that coach and making that big commitment of 6,000? Did you like pay on the call? Like, tell me that story.
Okay, I have an article about this.
That's
Of course
so
I do.
cool. Look,
So,
you've documented everything. You've like it's and you enjoy it as well. Like you've created such an amazing sort of workflow for yourself, Jennifer.
yeah, because it's like I know if I don't document it, I'm gonna forget, and th this feels important to document because it can help other people. So I actually found him from Threads. He had less than like 600 followers, and his content was so good. I was like, this speaks to me. This is exactly what I need. And I booked a call and I basically outlined everything that he did very well to get the sale. And then I also outlined how great of a communicator he was to really make me feel cared for. Like I documented every single one of our calls because I was like, if I pay this much for coaching, like I'm gonna learn how to coach and not just learn
Mm.
from like how to implement the stuff he's teaching me. It was very meta. I was like screenshotting his Slack messages, um, and
Did
I
you
learned a lot.
pay on that discovery call?
Yeah, pretty much. Because I wasn't
Oh.
expecting to be so too. That's why I have all my swipe files of stuff that's really good. Like I took the screenshot for my swipe files and then I just copy pasted it over to this article. There was also another swipe file article I made about
What
this
was your
create.
reaction on the call when he dropped the price of 6,000?
Oh, it was like he made that clear up front.
Oh,
It
he made
was
it clear up front. Oh, okay.
he said, I want to be respectful of your time. So, like just to be clear, 3.5K is like, is that within your budget? And I was like, yeah, sure. Like I'm curious with the system that he had. So I was like, I'll just hear him out. I might not purchase, but I'll hear him out.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then he dropped so much social proof that I was like, okay, I'm convinced.
Nice.
Um, yeah, there's just so much here. Like I have stuff where like I went in just to get a freebie, but then the funnel convinced me to drop like $400 on the spot. Like there are some really good swipe files that I share somewhere here. I think it was this one. No, it wasn't this one, but there's a lot here.
What's the
It's all,
40,000 in 2 weeks? 2 weeks
oh yeah,
case.
that was my course um
Oh,
here. So if you wanna, this one, right?
wow.
Because I actually created the course while I sold it. So like I sold it first, and then as people went through week 1 and 2 of the course, I was making week 3 and 4. So
Wow.
the feedback that they gave for week 1 and 2, I incorporated into week three and
And
four.
which month was the 6K day?
That was my first cohort in August. So because there was an enrollment deadline, I doubled my revenue on that deadline day. So like before that, I was maybe at like a lot less than whatever this amount is. And then the day of the deadline, I was like, hey, this is your last chance. And then there was a huge spike.
And then the last chance was an email, a post, everything. You were like, hey, everyone, this is the last chance.
Yeah, I have all of my emails somewhere. It was in my other newsletter because I was like, okay, I'm gonna expose everything that I did. And then the premium subscribers got an inside look at all the emails that I sent.
What's your average open rate like when you send out the 10,000 emails?
I think like 60%.
Whoa, that's so high. That's
Wait, let me
crazy
double
high,
check.
Jen. That's so good.
It's because it's like personal brand, so people feel like they know me. And after taking the course, they're like, I feel like I have a parasocial relationship with Jen. But it's like I feel like we're friends because they spill their whole life and like talk about their problems in the course community. So like, you know, we know each other pretty well. So for my 10K newsletter, the open rate for the last 4 weeks is 64.63, but the click rate is only 2.07. For the business newsletter, the open rate, okay, I just sent out an email, so the open rate kind of dropped. It's 39%, and the click rate is almost 2.5%.
Wow. And then for the like, hey, deadline's ending email, what was open rate and click rate for that?
Oh, I have to check. That was like a long time ago, like last year in August. I should probably check all of the emails because I it's just so much of a hassle to like manually plug in the numbers for my admin work. Okay, I'll probably have to dig it up for you
That's all
later
right.
because that was
That's
like
okay.
way too long ago.
That's okay. What zodiac animal are you, Jennifer?
Like lunar, like the
Chi
Chinese
yeah,
zodiac,
Chinese zodiac animal, yeah.
the rabbit,
Oh, okay. And what ethnicity are you, Jennifer?
Taiwanese.
Oh, so do you speak, is that Mandarin or Cantonese?
No, my Mandarin is really bad. I get roasted when I go back to Taiwan.
Does Taiwan have Taiwanese? Is that a language or no?
Yeah, but I think it's like the local dialect, but I don't speak it. Mainly Mandarin. But I'm taking Vietnamese classes right now because my partner's parents are Vietnamese and I want to talk to them.
Is your partner Vietnamese? I guess, yeah, he is, I guess.
I guess, but he's born in Sydney, so he's like, I'm Australian.
Uh, does he track is he like super tracking like you? So what's his,
No, but he's a Virgo, so we send each other calendar invites. We have weekly relationship check-ins. That's in one of my newsletters. I have a screenshot of the relationship check-in. It was one of my most popular.
yeah, I want to see that. Yeah, I definitely want to see this.
Oh, it doesn't have the questions, but it's like here. This is like every single week we have a call and we have like a what went well, what could be better, any other thoughts. And it's just fun vibes.
Now,
So he
like,
does have stuff on Notion.
if you didn't have this, would the relationship break down?
I don't think so. It's just we both nerd out over this stuff, so it's just like another fun thing for us to do.
Do you track anything when it comes to your relationship with your boyfriend, like happiness or arguments or crying?
It's all tracked in my existing
Yeah,
system.
got
So
it,
like
got
when
it.
I have time
Yeah.
spent with him, I would track it as like, dislike.
Yeah.
There was this one time that he threw a snowball at me and I got mad, so I tracked it as dislike. And that was like the only time I ever tracked time with him as dislike. But then he saw that and I was trying to be sneaky and now he roasts me about it. He's like, "Are you gonna change the timer to dislike?" And I felt so bad about it.
Wow, so that's a good sign because if it's all like and you've had like that only one dislike, that means it's a really good relationship.
Yeah, I would say so. He's a very good communicator.
How long have you guys been together now?
Just over a year.
Oh, and how long were you guys working together prior to that?
Also like a year or two, because he left the company and then I stayed until I got laid off. So technically we worked together for probably like a year and a half. But we've known each other since I think like 3 years,
Oh.
3 or 4 years.
And then when you've been traveling to meet up with him, is he allowed, does he remote work or does he get asked for time off from work?
Yeah. Usually remote work unless we want to dedicate ourselves to traveling and we don't have Wi-Fi. Um, but like I need the Wi-Fi for my Duolingo streak, so most of the time we do have Wi-Fi. It's just like we're both startup vibes, so it's usually work remotely, very flexible. You can travel.
Do you speak to him and have you been practicing your Viet with him or anything? Can he
I
speak Viet?
tried. No, I'm taking like beginner level lessons. So
Can your
he
boyfriend
says
speak
my
Vietnamese?
yeah, he
Okay.
does. When we went to Japan, he also spoke Japanese. Um, and then he translated Australian slang for me. And then when I went to Taiwan by myself, I was like, oh my God, I need to get on his level because his Japanese is better than my Mandarin.
Oh, wow. Wait, he just learned Japanese like extracurricular Duolingo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Is he working in a startup right now in Sydney?
Yeah. Yes. In the energy sector, like sustainable energy.
So cool. Last question, or one of the things, when you launched, when you had that 6K day, I guess in August, how many followers were you at when you, yeah.
So it was like, I think around 70K followers,
Whoa.
60 or 70K. But like I got all of those followers overnight pretty much from the viral video anyway. So it's like pretty much stable with that. And I had just over 9,000 subscribers because I cleaned out my list after the virality. I was like, okay, everybody who's not opening my emails, goodbye. I don't want you to hurt my deliverability scores. I don't want to spam you. Some people were like, why don't I get your emails anymore? I'm just like, please be subscribed. Like, I'm sorry, but my deliverability. So it was like 9K emails. The emails have more impact, I think.
Okay, I want to share my tracking thing. I'll share my screen, but I'm just hiding a few columns that are like, okay, this would be weird to share to the world. So let me hide this column. Um, okay, I think I could share everything. It looks good. Let me double check. Yep, everything can be shared. Okay, share screen. And you can give me your thoughts. So I've been tracking since 2021. So I guess it's been how many years now? 4 years. So I have a
Wait,
column.
what's breakfast negative 0.37?
Oh, uh, ignore this. It was sort of like, I think it's an old formula. I don't even know if it works at the moment, but basically, I think it means that I forgot what I tracked it to. I think maybe it's pegged to completed the day or not. If it's positive, if it's negative, then having no breakfast leads to a high, like no breakfast tendon usually leads to me completing the day. If it's positive, it means having an afternoon nap correlates with me completing the day. Um, so I've just been, let's just go to this. And then I started tracking mood. Oops. Manual. So every day I would manually come in and I'll fill out the data. So I'll track if I've been trying vitamin D, afternoon naps, alcohol, if I eat before 7, dinner. I need to import all my sleep data, so I'm behind on that, but I can just sort of export and put that in. If I consume content during dinner, oily food, healthy diet, work after 6,
A
read,
floss.
and then if I
I
use
love
my
that you have
phone,
floss in here.
flask, which one?
Floss. Like if
Oh,
you floss
floss,
your
yes,
mouth.
yes. I've been just tracking floss if I wear my retainers because I really want to see what affects my sleep. especially if I wear my retainers because it hurts. And then different sleeping devices, mouth tape.
Track your time as well. The work hours.
So I've been tracking work hours, yeah. Yeah, but I think it will be everything combined together, where it's like on a meeting, on a podcast, me journaling, it will be added in together.
Wait, what's pillow?
Pillow. Oh, I was curious to see if how my sleep was with or without my pillow.
Oh, do you like, is it better with or without?
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, so now, this is what, let's see, I want to open up a different, I'm scared there'll be random stuff on another page, but I'd have to compare the data, like copy this column and match it with my sleep data and see if with or without my pillow is better for sleep. Yeah, I haven't checked it yet, but yeah.
So cool. I love the colors here.
Now let me find the one. I had my exercising one. Let me find that for you. For my running, I was like tracking my running for a while.
This spreadsheet reminds me of that guy in LA who literally had like years of data in one spreadsheet. Like he didn't make new files every year. He just put it all on one spreadsheet.
And I think eventually, as AI gets better, I could just plug it into AI and be like, hey, compile everything, read everything, and tell me what I need to do more of and less of. Okay, so this is my running one where I stopped tracking, but like I was like tracking the distance, the pace, my thoughts on how I felt during that run.
Why don't you use Strava?
I guess, yeah, I would get the data from Strava and put it into here. And then I remember I was able to like give this to ChatGPT and it's like, hey, based on this, give me a marathon training routine.
Oh.
If my goal is to do a marathon at a certain pace, look at my current record and the total kilometers I've done in the lifetime, and yeah.
Wow, I did that as well, but then ChatGPT came up with some weird plans for me, so now I just follow the Hal Higdon one.
Ah, and then here I have this. I have the calendar that.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's so cool. I need a big whiteboard like that.
And then I have like so many friends that like are like super tracky crazy, like the friend that tracks time with friends. I have a friend where she tracked all her Tinder matches, like everything.
My friend did that too.
Yeah.
Okay, but she went wild with it and she started rating like if he was employed or not, if he was studious or not. And then she took the average of everything and it was like 60% match. And then she went on a date with him and didn't like him. So the data was not accurate.
Yeah, so, and then I have another friend where he just tracks, like every time he would make a decision to buy like supplements, like he sent me this Excel sheet of just like, it was 10 pages, a bunch of different supplements. And I was like, I'm just going to trust what you did the research. I'm just going to blindly buy what you told me to.
Somebody I know emailed me about that too. He's like, please help me track my supplements. I need your Excel formulas. Oh, there's a lot more of us than I thought.
Yeah, so when I saw like your comment, I was like, damn, this is so relatable. But you've definitely taken it like to the next level. I have
You
this,
should see.
I have a checklist that I follow every single day. Let me show you. Day
Is it for
routine.
like productivity or?
So I just go
Oh
through
my
it.
God.
And it's
That's so
400
hard.
things. It's 400 things, and they'll take me to the end of the day where I go to sleep. And I just go through it. And
What?
it's optimized in an order where it's like continuous energy. Like I've optimized it where like if I would feel down, I'd maybe move things around, and now I've like optimized it to like a amazing sort of setup.
Wait, what's on that list?
Okay, let's see. I'm curious if I could share my screen. Is there any weird things on it? Oh no, it should be fine. All right, let me open up my notes, day routine, new window.
I feel like you're tracking to optimize, and then I'm tracking for enjoyment, like as a hobby.
That's so good. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. So I guess I start the day by taking off the CPAP. I put on my black and white on my phone. I remove my mouth sort of closed thing. I just say this random line, thank you God for delivering me this wonderful day. Open blanket, wear hoodie, turn on laptop. So like even if I'm like hung over, I could just automatically just follow this.
Wow, this is next level. I love how you put moisture bottom.
Ah, yep, yep. And then they're like, depending on the temperature, I know how many layers of clothes to wear. So I don't have to think and worry about getting cold. Yeah. And then I have
That
like
is so cool.
chores where like when I hit this stage, depending on like I'll just go through the oldest thing I've yet to do. So I'm like always rotating through these different chores when I get to this.
So you do this every day, no matter what.
Mm.
Like every single day you have this routine.
Mm.
Wow. Do you have ADHD?
Probably, yep. But I feel like ADHD is such a. I feel like in today's time, I think everyone has ADHD.
Yeah,
Like if everyone's averaging 5 hours on your phone, how can you not have ADHD?
true. But it's like there's different types, I think. But my type is like I can't have a routine. That's why I have to track everything as it happens. Because then I'm like, what did I even do? Because every day is so different. I feel like I live 3 days in one.
Ah, yeah. This sort of really works for me, and I think you're right. It probably won't work for most people, and that's sort of why I don't recommend it for people. But it's worked like really well for me. And then I have like my daily planner. This is just like a vision board, but then I'll write down the things I want to get done. And once I check through it, then I have like the list of all the other things on top. And if I have any random thoughts throughout the day, I'll write it down. And then each morning or each night, I'll clear it onto like a Trello board.
That's like me messaging things to myself.
Basically, yeah. Yeah.
That's my desktop background as well. Like I have a yeah, this is like one of my templates that I share in my course. But I have like a little quote and then my vision
Ah,
board and then focus.
nice.
But like I definitely feel like I'm too biased by the pictures and the aesthetics than like I like colors and buttons and like stuff that I can click. So I don't know. A list might not work for me, but that's really cool that you do that.
I had this automation on my phone where every time I open up Instagram, my phone will go black and white.
Wait, that was one of my viral videos. I had an automation where every time I open a social media app, it would be like, okay, what are you doing here? And I'm like, okay, I need 2 minutes like to post and stuff. And it would give me 2 minutes. But after the 2 minutes, it's like, what are you still doing here? And then like, it just automatically takes a picture of me, like my face as I'm doom scrolling. And then it texts it to myself or a person of my choice. Like, if you want faux shame, you can text it to your crush or whoever. And it's just like a picture of you with a look of shame on your face. And people loved that.
Is there any way I could just copy and paste that automation?
Yeah, do you have iPhone? Because
Yes, I
that's
do.
my
Dude, I'd so want that automation. So another thing, I have a friend I do like a weekly Zoom call. He's from the UK and we're sort of like pen pals. And recently we've been on a competition of who can have the least pickups on the phone. So, and he's beating me, he's smashing me. So I might need to use your thing to win.
yeah, I have the I'll send you the link and then anybody who wants it can take it. But I posted something about it and everybody like it got me so many subscribers. Like people loved this lead magnet.
Wow, okay, I have to put my email in to get it. And then will it be like a thing where I could just download and if someone just
Yeah.
installs it? Okay, that's so cool. And you built it yourself?
Yeah, I have a bunch of stuff like that. And like for example, every night it turns my screen red. It's under accessibility settings, so my entire screen is like red every night.
It's so
And
smart. I
then
like the idea of scrolling through social media and it taking a photo of me and sending it to someone. That's so smart, Jen.
because like nothing else works. Like I tried downloading apps, I would just like delete the app
Yeah.
to, like yeah.
So how often are you sending selfies to people that you designate?
Not that often actually. Because like
Wow.
I know that, I don't want the shame, so I just leave the app.
Damn, okay, I want to get that. I'm going to install that after this. Okay, Jen, thank you so much for doing. Last two questions we always wrap up these podcasts with. One, what's like any recent or what's the last discovery that you've implemented to your day-to-day life?
Like discovering? I think just that I need to exercise because it tires me out, so then I have a good night's sleep. Also, that because usually I sleep with my phone right next to me, but then I started sleeping with my phone like, a few meters away. So like I have to get up to get it. And I noticed ever since I did that for the last 2 weeks, my dreams have been so vivid and so adventurous. I don't know if there's like the correlation isn't causation, but like that's been really cool. And the only reason I was able to do that was because I downloaded this app called Finch, and then in order for me to hatch a micro pet and get a reward, I have to like do the phone thing. And I really wanted a micro pet, so like the reward always works better for me than punishment. What else? I think that was the biggest learning.
Nice. And then any personal goals or focus for the next 6 months that's not work related?
To learn Vietnamese and get my tones properly.
Nice. Viet is hard. Like I'm Vietnamese and I'm like,
The tones, the pronouns.
yeah, yeah. So is your Viet the same level as your Mandarin, or is your Mandarin still better?
Okay, I actually have a list. Okay, my Mandarin is a lot better than my Vietnamese because I just started. But I have a list called Vietnamese words that are similar to Chinese, and it's like
Oh,
all of this. I
whoa.
also have a list for French and a list for English. And when I posted this, a lot of people wanted this list. And then I also had weird Australian slang and weird things that Australia did that North America definitely doesn't have. It's a very long list.
And when you like share random things like this, is it just a screenshot that you put to your Instagram story and then a lot of people replied wanting it?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
because it's like it's casual.
You've built such like a not cult following, but just a group of like-minded people where you can just be yourself and do things that are like in 10 different niches, and like your community is like raving about it. It's so good.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about with the limiting beliefs. Because I was like, I have to post about a specific niche. And then one time I was like, oh, why don't I just ask people? So I went on Instagram and I was like putting a poll on my story, like, hey, what should I post about? And then some people were like, oh, I'll just watch whatever you post. Like, I don't care what topic it is. And then I was like, oh, it's just myself stopping myself.
Yeah. Jen, where can people get more of you?
So my username is Vegan Tech Nomad, and they can find me like if you Google Vegan Tech Nomad, you can find me everywhere. I have so many stories about that username, but maybe I'll save it for another day because we're running out of time. But yeah, and my other brand is Chaotic Creator, and that's like the more business side of things.
Oh, is
I'll
that
send you all the links.
yeah. Is Chaotic Creator, do you post 5 times a week on that one as well?
Oh no, that's just my newsletter. My
Oh, it's just
Vegan
not.
Tech Nomad is my only socials.
Oh. And is it
Yeah.
Vegan Tech Nomad because you enjoy you're vegan, you like tech, and you're like a digital nomad?
Yeah. And my boyfriend and I low-key broke up over that name, but I have a whole story about that
Wait,
later.
how did well, yeah, how did that happen? Quick 30 second
Well,
run through.
okay. He wanted to work on a project together because he likes video games. I don't like we have different hobbies. And he's like, okay, let's make it like an Instagram account, like a business. And I was like, okay, but get veto power because it's my face and like my name and everything. And he's like, okay. And he's like, okay, also your username is stupid. You should change it. And I was like, I'm not changing it because it's what I like. And he got so mad. And then we got in a big fight and he's like, we should just break up. And I was like, what? This is such a little thing. But then a few months after that, I was like, you know what? You're right.
Yeah, it's weird. Why would he like want you to change your username? Like it shouldn't like matter to him.
I don't think it was about the username. Like after learning all the communication, self-development stuff, I'm like, I think he's talking about like him not feeling a part of my life because I said no to his idea. So I thought it was about the username, but looking back, I'm like, oh, I see it's not about that.
Ah, Jennifer, thank you so much for your time. I had a blast. I really enjoyed the whole screen sharing experience. I think that makes this a really unique episode. I love how transparent you are, how open you are, and you sort of you're doing what you love, and I think people can sense it. Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks so much, Andy. You asked really great questions, and I can't wait for this episode to come up.
Guys, if you made it this far, hopefully you guys had fun. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys next week on another episode. Peace.